Welcome to the Delta League podcast. Week 18. And what a crazy week of Delta League. Not only is it the last week of the regular season, but some of the action this week defies belief. Now, we had a record for goals set in a single game, and we had half a dozen players come out and deliver an insane number of blocks. Plus, there were 20 yellow cards given out and 4 black cards, which means there are going to be consequences for these actions. Let's get down to it. Now, we're going to start on Monday, where Denver is hosting Memphis and New York. And in this one, Denver wins. Denver 58, New York 21, Memphis 16. Now, Memphis player Candy Farnetti has a new tattoo, and some people absolutely hate it. It's Trump. There are a lot of very mixed views towards the former and current president. This has really set some people off online, saying that he should cover it up. Even though you think he's Hitler, he's not Hitler. And perhaps he may sign or be traded to a team that does not allow tattoos to be shown on the court. But until such time, freedom of speech is a thing. Now, Denver player Laura Greco came onto the court with a mohawk. Didn't add to her athletic prowess, but it certainly added to the speculation that she has an oddly shaped skull. Now, Memphis player Neil Conlon came to the game wearing glasses, and based upon the 5 goals he scored, appears to be working. However, the remainder of the team appeared to need them as they came out with their worst offensive performance of the year. Now, Pharaohs player Bianca Watson will undoubtedly be facing severe repercussions from getting involved in today's game. She collected her 4th black card of the season, and this kind of penalty means a 27-game suspension. But given that she is suspended until the middle of next year, the final nail in her coffin may only be moments away. Now, Denver player Cyrus Holleran, along with New York player Chucky Sponga, got yellow carded in this one, and this one escalated out of the perception that Denver were running up the score. 15 seconds later, everyone is wrestling around the court, and the pair got a minute of silence. Now, but for Holleran, this yellow card has consequences. He's picked up yellow card number 4, and he'll miss the opening game of the Wheel of Fire. Not good. Now, after this game, New York player Ruben Nygaard challenged Denver rookie Damian Ellis to a fight at center court. Fortunately, nothing came of this, but you bet your ass that this kind of posturing has become so frequent that even making such a challenge in the future could result in a suspension. Now, for Denver, it was Pooh McCarthy with 14 goals and Larry McMaster with 18 goals, along with Cyrus Holleran with 18 blocks. Now, for Memphis, it was Khalil Claudel with 38 blocks. That looks like a typo, but it's not a typo. 38 blocks. Candy Farnetti, 21 blocks. They spent the whole game blocking, none of it scoring. Sancho Pastore, William Meller, 5 goals each. And for New York, it was Bart Spratt with 6 goals. And in the end of this one, Denver picks up the 4 points. New York, 2 points. Memphis, nothing. Now, let's move on to Wednesday, where Detroit is hosting Seattle and Toronto. And Seattle is already the greatest regular season team of all time, and they've set records for wins and points, but in this meaningless game, the Pirates show no quarter. Seattle wins. Seattle 42, Detroit 27, Toronto 21. Now, Toronto player Lyles Houston suffered a tennis elbow. This injury is pretty severe and has a long recovery time, but guess what? Toronto is off to the golf course, so he should be fine by July. Now, Toronto's Devlin Hannibal got yellow carded in this one for a blindside hit out of bounds that took some cheerleaders out. Now, but Pirates player Corbin Womack made a quick work for Womack for a crime of taking out the Pirates. Now, he tossed him out of there. Now, Womack took exception, called it an accident, and to be honest, it looked like an accident. Then Hannibal shoves Womack. Womack hits him with a few elbow strikes, and he is banished from the kingdom. Now, Toronto captain added some images to his Instagram account showing his progress since the neck injury. Unfortunately, it wasn't the neck that took center stage. It was a collection of sex toys that were visible in the background of the photo. One word of the dildos leaked. He was forced to remove the photo and claim it was his girlfriend, who was a freak. Now, for Detroit, it was Tommy Anastos with 11 goals and Wilt Davola with 17 blocks. For Seattle, it was Jojo Stokidis with 7 goals. And for Toronto, it was Lyles Houston with 9 goals. But in the end of this one, Seattle picks up the 4 points. Detroit, 2 points. Toronto, nothing again. Now, let's move on to the Saturday matinee game, where Montreal is hosting Salt Lake City and Miami. Now, in this one, Montreal wins. Montreal 25, Miami 14, Salt Lake City 10. Now, Salt Lake City had absolutely nothing on the line, and not even pride, because they lost that months ago, so they definitely played like they didn't give a fuck. Now, the frustrations of a season just spilled over tonight in Montreal, and this game was fiery. Now, Alexander Farner takes down Jill Falsey, yellow card. Jill Falsey gets up and shoves Farner, yellow card. Alessander Harris, yellow card. Felix Kolb, yellow card. That's his 4th. He's gone for a game starting next year. Now, Reggie Joe Agdev, he got involved in this one as well, so he's looking like he won't play until next year either. Now, plus Don Kenworthy, he's recovering from a car accident that almost cost him his life. He gets on the court. Black card. It's just pure apathy in Utah. Now, Bob Nyhan got black carded in this game, and due to these actions, not only his season, but for the rest of next year are definitely in jeopardy. Let's set up this scenario. Now, Miami is up by a few goals, and it's clear that they'll pick up the 2 points. A member of the crowd wearing a Flyers jersey tells him, "Nyhan, you suck." Well, Nyhan says he'll see him in the playoffs and gives him the finger. And then the fan throws his drink onto the court and strikes Nyhan. Now, opposing players like Montreal player Duke Buchanan are just trying to stop this from unraveling because the Swarm don't really want to be there. And Montreal can't afford any more controversy or suspensions. Now, Nyhan just throws Buchanan. He's already gone at this point. Buchanan gets back up. He wrestles with Nyhan, tries to armbar him. He gets thrown down again. Buchanan gets back up, tries to go after Nyhan. Buchanan gets yellow carded. Nyhan gets tossed. The same fan starts following him, trying to get under his skin, and Nyhan flashes the guy. This is going to be an expensive, long suspension for a guy that Miami needs going forward, and they don't need horse shit like this. Just reckless. Now, And after the final whistle sounded, still nobody cared about Felix Kolb's mohawk, and all they could remember was the crazy bachelor party that disrupted the game at several points, spiraled out of control, and made this game one for the history books. Now, for Montreal, it was Angela Carlucci with 9 goals. Salt Lake City, Eli Ercolani with 8 blocks. And Miami has Kipper Grimmett with 17 blocks. And in the end of this one, Montreal picks up the 4 points. Miami, 2 points. Salt Lake City, nada once more. Now, let's move on to the second matinee game where it was Phoenix hosting Dallas and Atlanta. And in this one, Phoenix wins. Phoenix 37, Dallas 28, Atlanta 9. Now, Phoenix player Drake Beck has been caught in a gambling scandal that also included another Delta player. As a result, Beck has been banned for life. Now, Phoenix player Neil Laskin, he looks like some liberties in this one, resulting in a bloody nose for Goldie Crowley. As a result, Laskin gets black carded and Crowley gets into jail free card that she cashes in almost immediately. Dallas went a little crazy in this game, showing off to the Atlanta bench and excessively celebrating goals, and as a result got a bench minor for delay of game. One of the players who participated in this lack of sportsmanship is going to regret it, and that is Goldie Crowley. That's her 4th yellow card, which means that that's a black card. Add that to her additional 2 black cards, and she's been suspended for 9 games starting next year. You see, kids? Delta League teaches you about real life. There are repercussions for your actions. Now, for Phoenix, it was Curly Barnabani with 15 goals. For Dallas, it was Bernie Tully with 7 goals, and Wesley Jazz Dans with 11 blocks. And for Atlanta, nobody mustered jack shit again. Now, in the end of this one, Phoenix gets the 4 points. Dallas gets 2 points. Atlanta, nothing. Now, let's move on to Saturday's evening game, where Washington is hosting LA and Boston. And perpetual pain in the ass Till Phillips has come down with a pec strain. We can only assume he suffered this injury from attempting to fillet himself, but even in Washington, people have already moved on from Phillips. This is why Phillips got involved in this game again. This is his 4th card. His 4th black card of the year. This is a guy who must have eaten a lot of paint chips as a child. Well, at least we know that he has a fallback when the repercussions of this comes down. Now, in addition, Washington captain Farley Greenlaw and Elix Henderson got yellow carded in this match for stupidity. Now, Washington picks up Brad Blagg. Gets 8 goals in this one. For LA, we got Keith Ogilvie with 7 goals and Bobby Sheffitz with 1 goal. Who included this guy on the list of goals? 1 goal. Jesus Christ. For Boston, it was Hobo Mickelson with 8 goals and Brianne Goo with 14 blocks. And in the end of this one, Boston picks up the win. Boston wins this one. Shows you how bad it's been in Washington. Boston wins this one. Boston 29, Washington 24, Los Angeles 18. Boston picks up the 4 points. Washington 2 points. LA, please let it end. Nothing. Now, let's move on to the game where everyone wanted to watch this one. This was Vancouver hosting Chicago and Philadelphia. And Vancouver and Philadelphia with their seasons on the line in this one. And in this one, Chicago wins. Chicago 31, Vancouver 27, Philadelphia 22. Now, Philly took to the court with some awesome alternate jerseys in this one. It was their take on the Philadelphia Eagles colors, and it's good to know that they have options just in case the team wants a rebrand. Now, this one got off to a wild start as drunk Chicago fans pelted the anthem singer with fluorescent green dildos that they bought from Temu. The singer ran off in tears, and the dick-wielding assholes were prominently ejected. Now, Philadelphia had a breakdown of composure in this game with 4 yellow cards and a black card. Lloyd Warfield and Tully Sykes were yellow-carded in this one. Even Travis Valencia, who's usually quite composed, got yellow-carded twice in this game, cashing in his black card. And at the end, they are tossing the chair onto the court, showing his frustration as he was ejected. Now, even the Orcas' Ravi Cutter got in on the yellow card stupidity. Now, Philadelphia players were undoubtedly upset at the result of this game. The Shred fans that made the trip were also upset, and they jumped the barricade and went after Chicago player Fab Whittlesey, who lit them up for 7 goals in this game. Luckily, security was not asleep, and they took down the perpetrators. So, for Vancouver, it was D.D. Christofferson with 6 goals, and Chicky Bajorski with 9 blocks. For Chicago, it was Dus Hawthorne with 27 blocks, and Fab Whittlesey with 7 goals. And for Philadelphia, it was Travis Valencia with 9 goals, and Ariel Vignola with 10 blocks. And in the end of this one, Chicago gets the 4 points. Vancouver, 2 points. Philadelphia, nothing. Now, let's move on to the standings. The final standings for the 2025 regular season. And up at the top, no surprise, Seattle, 64 points. Chicago, 58 points. Memphis and Detroit and Denver, 45 points each. Washington, 44 points. New York, 42 points. Montreal, 39 points. Miami, 33 points. And the playoff line is there. Miami makes the playoffs. Now, right under there, it's Vancouver and Philadelphia, 32 points each. For Phoenix, 31 points. Toronto, 30 points. LA, 26 points. Boston, 23 points. Dallas, 10 points. Atlanta, 8 points. Salt Lake City, 7 points. Now, with Miami's second place finish and Philadelphia's loss, Miami clinches their first berth in the playoffs. Now that we know what's happening, here are the Wheel of Fire matchups for next week's tournament. We have seed number 1, Seattle, taking on seed number 4, Detroit, and seed 9, Miami. In game number 2, we have number 2 seed Chicago taking on number 5 seed Denver and number 8 seed Montreal. And in the third game, we have 3 seed Memphis taking on 6 seed Washington and 7th seed New York. Now, here are the final goal leaders for the 2025 regular season. Up at the top, Rob Donoff, 109 goals. Rock Weinstein, 105 goals. James Korn, Seattle, 99 goals. Larry McMaster, 97 goals. Laurie Moss, 91 goals. Pooh McCarthy, Evan Parawal, Venus Pilar, 90 goals each. Isaac Parker Johnson, Stefan Grice, 89 goals. Curly Barnabani, 86 goals. Finn Wareley, 79 goals. The offensive player of the week is Larry McMaster with 18 goals. Now, let's go on to the block leaders. And here's the final results. We have Cyrus Holloran and Bernie Tully with 88 blocks each. Alan Adam, 85 blocks. Khalil Claudel, 80 blocks. Vlad Millet, 79 blocks. Jackson Truman, 76 blocks. Harlequin Butcher, 68 blocks. Kipper Grimmett, 67 blocks. Kofi Dominguez, 66 blocks. Anatoly Schaefer, 65 blocks. Romeo DeRosa and Frank Viano, 63 blocks. Now, the defensive player of the week is Khalil Claudel from Memphis with 38 blocks. Holy shit. Now, here are the final leaders for GXB rating for the 2025 regular season. And that is James Korn, 58-41. Vlad Millet, 53-72. Rob Donoff, 52-32. Lori Moss, 51-87. Bernie Tully, 51-04. Rhino Montalban, 41-44. Larry McMaster, 39-77. Khalil Claudel, 33-60. Romeo DeRosa, 33-39. Frank Viano, also 33-39. Evan Parawal, 33-30. And Venus Pilar, 32-40. Now, let's move on to the league news. Till Phillips got involved in today's game and, as a result, collected his 4th black card of the season, which under normal circumstances would be a 27-game suspension. But Commissioner Darcy DeMello came down with Thor's hammer and suspended him for life, saying, "We can't have a player in our league who continually skirts our rules, puts teammates, fellow players, and officials at continual risk, and whose cavalier attitude towards violence is putting a dark blot on our game." So as of this moment, Till Phillips is suspended for life from Delta League. Now, in addition, Pharaohs player Bianca Watson has also been given a lifetime ban from Delta League for accruing 4 black cards in a single season. The commissioner commented, "It's sad that a player with so much potential has thrown away her career with her undisciplined actions." Now, as for Bob Nyhan, that led to 4 yellow cards and a black card, a spilled Pepsi, and someone's genitals coming out of their pants. And as a result, Bob Nyhan has been suspended for 14 games. Just epic restraint from the league's best players. Now, Denver player Grant Nahn was pulled over this week when the cops searched his vehicle. They found a loaded Ruger Max 9 in the glove box. Now, funny thing here is concealed carry and open carry is totally legal in the state of Colorado. But the gun doesn't belong to him. It belongs to his mother, and so does the car. Now, if you remember, Grant Nahn was traded out of Atlanta due to an unfortunate encounter with organized crime there. And his mother, as it appears, took it more seriously than he did, so she purchased the weapon for self-defense, and the paperwork was absolutely pristine. Now, here's a lesson for gun owners. Always dot your I's, cross your T's, like Miss Nahn here. The only thing she failed on was making sure her brake lights were functioning. Grant was out at a local store, used his mom's car, got pulled over, no harm done minus the $100 fine. In the future, Grant should think about what state laws or gun laws are if he gets traded to LA, because that could have been slightly ugly. Now, Toronto player Lyles Houston has converted to Buddhism, no particular reason given, other than this point in his life he needs something to center him so he can stay clear of all the dark forces in the world. Still, no Pastafarian convert. Now, banned Detroit rock player Argenta Mignani has made it known that she would like to come back and maybe do the national anthem. The team promptly said, no, fuck off. Now, apparently rock player Rad Marnane has been cast in an up-and-coming film. More details to come. I think he's the 5th player this year that is going to have a busy off-season. Now, on to the mailbag. Matty V. What do you think of the big stories coming out of this season of Delta League will be? Undoubtedly, it will be the rise of other teams, mainly Chicago and Denver, to threaten the hegemony of the Pirates. I think that a multipolar power distribution is good for Delta League. Also, we've noticed a definite widening of the have and have-nots in Delta League. It wasn't as apparent last year as it is this year. Teams like Salt Lake City, Atlanta, and Dallas have gotten worse than they were last year, and something needs to be done in order to close that competitive balance slightly. I don't know how things will turn out after next year when we add 3 more teams and the talent pool dilutes slightly. Could we be looking at a salary cap of some form or a draft lottery? That is entirely possible. I think Miami is a feel-good story this year. They won 0 games last year. And even though they won 1 game this year, they finished with 11 second-place finishes. And 2 two-way wins this year. All credit to this team to pull themselves out of the abyss. We've lost 3 players to death this year, and 3 others had their career ended by neck injuries. Expect the league to take serious measures to curb this and the increasing level of violence in Delta League. Now, let's move on at Real Piero Barone. I'm working on a 4-game superfecta that will undoubtedly net me huge payoff. Seattle's time to pay the piper may be next Friday when they lose to the Rock. People think Denver is going to win on Saturday, but I'm taking Chicago. That Denver team is scary, but not consistent. And on Saturday, I'm taking Memphis to overcome New York. So on Sunday, I'm taking the Memphis to win the championship and Detroit to get locked in their dressing room in a proposition bet. I have no idea how much that might be, but it might be enough to buy a Subway franchise. Now, that Detroit call is absolutely insane. Given how the Rock's play has degraded over the last 4 weeks, Memphis is actually a good call, and it's something I'd like to see, but Chicago upsetting Denver, that would be super fun to see, but you're not wrong about the Sky. They can be streaky, but the streak I see is Denver being an absolutely unstoppable scoring machine, but undoubtedly this game will feature more than 100 goals, and that is a proposition I can get behind. Now, 24/7 Jello shots. I think this offseason is going to be pretty exciting for Delta League. I'm more stoked for the offseason than this year's finals. You must be a Delta fan. You must be a Dallas fan. We've got an expansion draft, an amateur draft, a trade deadline that promises to shake up the league for next season. Plus, we have some of the league's contracts expiring this year, giving way for some free agency for the first time. I honestly believe that next year's offseason will be much more exciting and there will be far more shakeup going into the 2027 season than next year, and that's mainly due to the Delta League's contract structure. See, when the league started, there was no way of knowing if there would even be a second season of Delta League. So all contracts were 2-year contracts with a team option on extending the contracts for a third year. Now, after which almost everybody who hasn't been retired, died, or extended will have their contracts come due, and that is when the off-season becomes incredibly interesting. Now, let's move on to the games and predictions for the Wheel of Fire tournament. Now, Friday night, top seed Seattle takes on 4th seed Detroit and 9th seed Miami. And Miami deserves a lot of credit for being in this position. Based on their record last year, nobody would have guessed that they would have made the playoffs. All power to the management and the players this year. Same can be said about Detroit. This team defied the odds and finished in 4th place. However, both these teams have drawn the black in this game of roulette. And it's Russian roulette, let me tell you that right now. Detroit, right? Seattle is going to eat both these teams alive and advance to their second straight Wheel of Fire championship game. Now, let's move on to the Saturday afternoon game, where 2nd seed Chicago takes on 5th seed Denver and 8th seed Montreal. And Chicago has had a hell of a season. Last year was such a shit show due to their injuries and suspensions that we really didn't get a full picture of how good this team could be if they were on all cylinders. And now we know just how good they are. Granted, they will miss the offensive contributions of Cameron Baptista, who died tragically this year, but they still have all the pieces to win. Denver, on the other hand, made a remarkable improvement over last year. They've hit their stride at exactly the right time. They're healthy, and this team is dangerous. Now, Montreal really started this season in a laughable manner, only to pick up the pieces and make the playoffs for the first time. Unfortunately, their opposition is the worst possible draw for the Maelstrom. I'm taking Denver in a close, high-scoring affair. Now, on to Saturday night, where 3rd seed Memphis takes on 6th seed Washington and 7th seed New York. And Memphis has made an incredible turnaround over the last 2/3 of the season. This team was projected to be bad. They were bad. And then they turned on. And this team did nothing but win and rise in the standings. Washington, on the other hand, had a great first half of the year, and then the team's performance began to slip. Only the points they cashed in the first half of the year truly saved this team from fighting for their playoff lives in the last couple weeks. Now, New York is a good team, and they had a rough patch in the middle but turned it around. They have multiple offensive pieces that makes this team dangerous in this upcoming semifinal. Now, I'm going to go for the upset and take New York to make the finals. Now, on to Sunday night, where the defending champions Seattle will take on Denver and New York in the 2025 Delta League Championship game, and this should be an incredibly high-scoring affair. It seems pretty easy to take Seattle in this kind of game, but in this kind of scenario, take the hottest team, and that's Denver. They've scored 150 points in the last 3 games, and their offense is clicking on all cylinders. And to be honest, Seattle has not looked as invulnerable as they were when the season started. Seattle's offensive prowess is undeniable, and they may have many of the league's top players, which could prove me wrong. But that little voice inside says there's going to be a changing of the guard, and the Pirates are going to finish second. Unfortunately for the Fire Demons or whoever makes this final, they're going to be a spectator as one of these two teams are going to be crowned themselves the King of Delta League. Join us next week for the Wheel of Fire tournament. where the action will undoubtedly continue and never stop. See ya.
This is Delta 2.